to 11.
Tu vale americano, americano, americano.
One day I was on the street and this dog came up to me. I didn't know it was straight. It was so cool.
Stay tuned.
Something is coming. The 1990s in America. It was a time of prosperity. It was a time of revolution. It was a time of feminism. It was a time when the American family was put together and very moral, not just when they're white, but when they were black. It was a time of TV shows like Full House and Darkwing Duck. It was a time when Bill Clinton brought us into the global market when everyone had hope.
90s in Armenia. Dark and cold years. Soviet Union falls apart. War and conflict in South Caucasus made it impossible for the transit of goods to Armenia. The country is in blockade. The supply of gas and electricity is on the edge. Less hours of electricity daily, eventually reaching up to 1 hour per day. Good evening, dear radio.
And welcome to American in Yerevan.
No, this was not a forecast for upcoming winter. This was just a piece of memory from 90s.
Both in Armenia
and America.
And if you've made it this far, you're listening to 103.0, and you've made it to Friday night at 9 p.m. It's actually 9:03 today in Yerevan, and we're talking today about the 1990s with Ina MK.
And Steven Oxner. Stay tuned.
Listening to Don't Speak by no doubt the heartthrob of so in love with her, and I watched this music video a bunch of times because I was in love with
I
Gwen
love
Stefani.
that song too, Steven.
Not the song, the person.
Oh yeah, that's different.
They were just the coolest, and that a girl was the lead singer of a rock band. It was just awesome, and they shot this music video in a garage, and that was just like, for me as a kid, I was like, it was a dream to have a garage band, you know? To have like your garage band. It all comes from Kurt Cobain and Nirvana, right? Of course, but it was like a childhood dream. In my garage, in my hometown of Woodland Park, if you can imagine this mountain town that's named it's not a city. It's not Canyon City or Kansas City or New York City. It's Woodland Park.
Okay.
We had a detached garage. We called it a garage, but it was really just a shed, and there wasn't electricity there. So I didn't have a garage band because there was no electricity in the garage.
Steven, I'm so sorry for you.
I know what you're going to say.
So you're saying you didn't have electricity in garage?
Yeah, poor
Let
Steven.
me tell you, poor Steven. Let me tell you about our electricity story in the 90s in Armenia.
Tell me about it.
Well, it was a year of war in Karabakh, and the entire country was in blockade. And we didn't have gas, we didn't have electricity, everything was in a blockade.
Because there was nothing coming in, nothing going out.
Nothing going out,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh, God. Yeah.
So,
Nightmare.
a nightmare. And electronics in Armenia were making up some conditions, collecting numerous modification chargers. Like, like car batteries.
Just in your living room?
Yeah, just in a living room.
Oh, gosh.
And we had like this really big batteries in our living room that we used to charge every day during 1 hour when we had electricity back on.
1 hour of electricity?
Yes.
Oh, gosh.
And whenever we had the electricity, you could hear the entire building yelling, "Hurrah! The lights are on!"
It came back on! Cool.
Yeah, and everybody started hurrying, taking a bath, doing whatever they could, charging the batteries,
right?
Doing everything to get ready for the darkness again.
Because it was coming in 1 hour.
Yeah. And many people used to steal electricity lines from other buildings. It was like Levi Louis, his left light.
The left light.
Yeah, it was like the hijacked electricity.
Oh.
Yeah, like in the neighborhood, we pulled the wires from many different places, like from the neighboring houses, factories, or government buildings.
Hijacked electricity. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
You would have to just do it that way to charge your batteries and have hot water and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and so, but during that time, a lot of trees were cut, a lot of books were burned, and even musical instruments in the stoves.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Because that was all that was
That was all that we had to get warm.
left.
But more about that.
More about the great times that we had as children in the 90s. When we come back, right now we're going to listen to Kiss Me. I was just thinking about the 90s and how growing up we would... You were saying things were being burnt all the time, which means there was no electricity for heat, right?
Yes, and
I
we
was
had
in a similar
stoves.
situation.
Mhm.
Yeah, we had a wood stove in Colorado, and at the beginning of every fall, we would get a big pile of wood from a truck, put it in our yard, and we would spend the whole fall chopping it up and using axes to chop it up, and then we would have heat for the winter because we didn't use the electricity heating that we had. I guess maybe it was expensive. Our family couldn't afford that heating, but we could
Really?
afford this big pile of wood. And I just thought about how that was like, in a way, for the American paradigm, it seemed like we were kind of like the poor kids a little bit. But then from the perspective of what you just told me, it was luxury to have a pile of wood.
Were you lighting candles as well instead of turning the light on?
No, we had the lights.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, that would make it easier.
That kind of electricity is much cheaper.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, Stephen, did you play any games?
What kind of games, Ina?
Because I just remembered the most popular games during the 90s, like the video
tic-tac-toe?
games.
Oh, video games.
Yeah,
like Duck Hunt.
Yeah, and the
Nintendo, yeah.
Mario and Tetris.
Right, yeah. Yeah. Those were fun.
Yeah, those are fun. And now, you know what? When you were telling me about about your story of doing work with wood and stuff, I'm thinking about boys nowadays that they cannot do all these kinds of things. All they do is just like play their iPhone games outside.
They have video
that's
games
what I
in their
saw.
phones.
Yeah, that's what I saw the other day. It made me so sad because back in that age, I used to play in the yard, with all my friends, with all the ball games, and despite
kids got dirty.
Yeah,
in the 90s.
kids got dirty.
I was too. I didn't play I never played a lot of video games. I think probably because I have 3 older brothers and they would beat me right away. Like I'd be playing and I'd die right away. Then I'd die right away. It wasn't very much fun. But then also we had like a forest, So we were always building tree houses or making mud castles.
And I think that's cool because speaking about 90s, when we didn't have any lights, adults would become like children.
Oh, the adults would
become...
yeah.
They would play with us all kinds of games like card games, chess, and bingo, and running around the house to get warm, playing tag and hide and seek. And it was so much fun. And what I'm thinking is that besides all the hardship that we saw during those years, we also learned to stay children, to find something good when it's all dark around, and to still enjoy.
So even though the
life.
circumstances are really difficult and there's no light, there's no electricity, we have to charge a battery in our living room, there was like a lightness of perspective.
Yes. And people would get together. All the neighbors knew each other. They were playing games together. They were communicating with each other. It might be strange, but it was one of the best times, despite of the darkness.
Oh my gosh.
And the coldness.
We have a very fitting song for that. It's called Vision of Love. It's like the vision of love from, that duality, right? Very difficult times, but you have a memory of love from that time.
Yeah, still the light at the end of the tunnel.
Let's listen to it. Here's Down Low. You're listening to 103.0.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, come on.
She doesn't have a first, middle, and last name, or like имя, отчество. Madonna.
Madonna Georgievna.
Georgievna.
Jonovna. Okay.
Ina, you caught me with your question about the light, I thought, okay,
Really?
I'll find some middle ground. We have a caller.
Cool.
Let's see what we can do. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, how are you? Who is this?
Thank you. I'm fine. What about you?
Good. We're having
My
a good
name
time
is
here.
Anna. My name is Anna.
Hi, Anna.
Hi, Anna.
Hi.
Thank you for
Hello.
calling.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you.
How long have you been listening to American in Yerevan?
Not maybe from the first, but from the second program.
Oh,
Cool.
oh, an old-time listener.
I like
Do you
you
like
guys,
our show?
really.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
I like you. It's a great idea, and you are so funny, you are so interesting, and I'm really happy that I have a chance to enjoy you.
Thank you.
We're so happy that you've been listening and that you have a chance
Yeah,
that you
sure.
took the chance to call us. We're talking about the 90s today, as you know, probably because you're listening.
Sure.
Do you have a story from the 90s?
I can't remember an exactly story, but for example, I can remember that I was a child at the time, 10, 12 years, and I was in love with the group Backstreet Boys.
Oh,
All of us were. All of us.
That's just an international truth.
Anna, exactly which one?
Which
please?
one was it, Anna?
The black one.
The black one.
The black one. Wait a second.
The black-haired one.
Oh, the brunette.
Howie?
Yeah.
Is
I
it
don't
Howie?
remember,
Or
now
Nick?
I don't remember. No, Nick was the blonde one.
Blonde
Nick was the
Nick,
blonde one.
Yeah.
Please,
My
Steven.
teacher
I'll
was
look
in
it up.
love with Nick.
You don't know them, Steven.
I'm a
But
traitor.
I
Traitor
remember
to
my
my
room was full of their posters. My walls were full of them.
You're kidding.
Yeah,
no,
that's
no.
what happened with my room as well.
And I
Holy
had
smokes.
some funny pictures standing by that wall, and it was very interesting. And now it's very funny. But I was living with the idea of, I don't know. I was living with that hope that maybe one day I can meet them.
And marry them?
Yeah,
All of them?
actually, I wanted to say exactly that. I hope that when I grow up, I will marry.
You're gonna meet him.
Did you have NSYNC as well?
Did you listen to NSYNC?
Stink?
NSYNC,
NSYNC
boy group.
from
I
where
don't
Justin
remember.
Timberlake was
I don't
born?
I don't remember.
No.
Oh, just only Backstreet
Usually there are
Boys.
two schools.
Okay.
There's usually the
Only
people who
Backstreet
hate
Boys was
NSYNC.
my
ones-
love.
Steven, what was your favorite girl band? Spice Girls?
Well, I did like the Spice Girls. I have to
Britney
say.
Spears?
Oh, Britney
Confess
Spears. One
now.
time, okay, I do have to say, one time I did go to my friend's house, and they said, Britney Spears is on the top 10 of MTV for the last time. She's been number one for like a whole week, and now they're gonna take her off the program. And I thought, it'll be the last time we ever get to see that music video. I've never seen the music video. I have to come over. So I went and we watched it. It turns out that music video was on MTV and still is to this day, many, many more times. But there was that panic that I had about Britney Spears because I loved her. Christina Aguilera as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
as well.
yeah,
So, Anna, do you still hope to meet one of the Backstreet Boy guys?
I have already met my Backstreet Boys guy, so
Oh, okay.
another Backstreet Boy guy.
Does he sing?
Sorry?
Does he sing as
No,
well?
he doesn't. Fortunately, he doesn't.
Okay.
Anna, I'd like to thank you for calling today. And
And I would like to say one more thing, guys.
Just really quickly before we have our music break.
Okay, just that times were very difficult for us, but now you see we have many interesting stories to remember, and very
Of
funny
course.
stories. Yeah.
Of course.
thank you so
guys.
much for
Thank
sharing.
You for accepting
We
my
always
call.
have fun. It was one of my favorite songs, so stop making fun of it, okay?
This is a song for me. Really? Oh, we used to just make so much fun of that song. That was cool.
Do you have a
you?
favorite song of 90s?
Of the 90s?
Yes.
I thought I had one. Yeah, I'll have to think about that.
Okay.
Can I think about it?
Yeah, sure.
While I'm thinking about it.
I'll be looking forward to listen to it. Okay, so
Vazgen, who just won those tickets, he was talking about the wood.
the lucky
How
guy.
The lucky guy. And his sister.
Mhm.
They would gather wood to make food, right? But as far as I know, that wasn't the only reason to have wood or the kerosene stove.
Yeah,
This was also to bathe, right?
too big.
You had to boil
Yeah.
the water and then mix it with some colder water and then
And then
shower with it.
shower.
With a cup.
Shower. It's a too good word for it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you had to take bath with one hand using to wash yourself, and the other one pouring the mug with the water on yourself. So it was then when we had this joke that you're a lucky person to take a bath with 2 hands.
Oh, the lucky ones take baths with 2 hands.
Using 2 hands, yeah.
Oh, you like wash your head? Wash your hair?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Steven,
Hmm.
speaking about baths,
Yeah.
have you ever had lice?
Ina, I think I'm not sure there was ever a time in my life where I thought I would be asked that question, but
Well,
I
everything
know
happens for
that
the
I
first
never
time.
thought I would be asked that question on the radio.
Okay.
No, I've never had lice. No, the worst I've ever had is a tick in my hair. You know,
Tick?
ticks.
What
It's
is
like-
that?
You know that bug that burrows its head into you and it sucks your blood and its body gets bigger and
Oh,
you
yeah.
have to burn it off with a cigarette.
It's tease in Armenian. Tease.
Tease?
Tease.
Tease?
Tease. I mean, like,
Tease?
you're such a teaser.
What? What did you just call me?
Steven.
I'm not
it's-
a tick.
Okay, you're not. So, during the dark years, it was a huge problem.
Wait, you've had lice?
Yes, I did. Just like 30 other children in our class.
Oh.
Yeah, and we were getting checked every time we'd get in our classroom by our teachers, and whenever they had found that somebody has those lice, they would just send them back home.
Oh,
For-
you have lice. Go home.
Yeah, and their moms would continue the hard work of
Picking through their
there
hair?
was like 3 options. Either you'd get shaved, or
Oh, shave your head
or you'd get kerosene all over your head.
Get
Poured-
kerosene.
yes, and it was burning
poured
for
over
hours. Yeah,
That's
it
because
was
it's not
horrible.
supposed to touch your skin.
Yes, Stephen, there is nothing in the kerosene instructions saying that it should
You should
touch
bathe
you.
in it,
Yeah.
unless you want to kill all of the lice on your head.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
bet some Americans would sue the
Easily. Social
the
services would
kerosene
probably be knocking
company.
at your door
Yeah.
saying you're not fit to be a parent.
Yeah. And the other option would be having your mom dig in your hair for hours to kill all the lice and all their families and ancestors and relatives and babies.
Your mom's hunting through your hair,
Yeah.
digging through the roots, looking for all the children.
And killing them. It was like a lice genocide.
I remembered.
Okay.
I remember what my favorite song from the 90s is.
You did.
It's not real. It's not my favorite song now, but back then, I was in love with the movie Armageddon.
I love
It was
that.
the first experience of having too much of a good thing. You know that English phrase? Too much of a good thing.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
Stay
Armageddon
away,
was so touching
just
to me that I watched
hear
it for
you
3 weeks in a row.
breathing.
And now I can't stand the movie, nor can I stand this song, but I thought I wanted to play it anyway. So you can sing. Sing. Go ahead, sing.
Thank you,
Far
Stephen.
away
Way and dreaming, and I can sing.
Miss you much. Miss you much.
Listening to all of the songs
All of my
That we-
favorite songs.
that we listened to in those dances. You remember those dances at school? It was the
yeah,
first
the
time
prom
you're
dances.
touching someone, you know, like of the opposite sex, you're
Yeah,
holding your
like
arms
that.
out as far as you can, touching their shoulders. Or no, if the girl is touching the shoulders and the boy is touching the waist, and
Yeah, like 1 kilometer far from each
your
other.
heart is beating so hard that your hands are shaking. Universal truths is what we look for in American.
I'll give my all. That was our prom song. One of our prom songs. Yeah, okay.
One of my memories from the 90s is waking up as a kid on Saturday mornings and being allowed to watch cartoons. My mom
Oh.
was really strict about television. And so on Saturday was the day when we could go hog wild, as they say.
Hog wild.
We'd get up and we'd eat like the Lucky Charms or like the really bad cereal, and we'd sit in front of the TV and watch, I don't know, Looney Tunes, DuckTales. Did you have those kind of things?
DuckTales,
Like,
yes. And mine was actually on Sundays when we were waiting for all week to watch the every Sunday cartoons.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They would come every Sunday.
Yes.
Did you have these kind of like Chippendales?
Yes, like Chip
Like
Chip
Chip,
Chip
Chip,
Chip
and
and
Dale,
Dale, Monster
Rescue
Shot,
Rangers,
Chip 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 and Dale, Lucha Vse.
Lucha Vse?
Yeah, yeah,
is a
that was the
terrible
translation.
They're the
well.
best.
Oh well, and
Chip
we
and Dales.
had to make
They don't have-
sure,
they're not
and
going-
my parents had to make sure, excuse me, that our car battery was fully charged, so I could watch
you could watch it.
watch the this cartoon
goodness.
on a really tiny black and white TV, sitting in the hall
Yeah.
with all of my neighbor children joining me because
it was the only TV in the
Yes.
building.
yes,
Kind of.
sometimes
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
our TV was the
Everyone had
only TV.
So even
the
TV
building.
watching was like a community
Yeah.
experience.
It was like,
we were talking about the
movie
games.
watching or
Oh yeah, yeah.
cartoon
right.
watching night.
Amazing. What about films too? You probably
Oh,
watched some.
yes. I cannot leave this out. Everybody in the building
Uh-huh.
were waiting for the hour when the soap operas would begin, like Santa
what?
Barbara. It's American. You should. Don't you know about
Sorry.
it? Okay. Tan 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 tan. That was the
Santa
start.
Barbara.
Yeah, Santa Barbara.
Cool.
About all these intrigues about this
Oh, yeah.
this family
He
of rich
cheated
people.
on her, and
yeah,
then
yeah,
she deceived him, and then
It's his son.
his son died in a car
Yeah.
crash.
And it was his son's son. Okay. So everybody was waiting to see what's gonna happen next and
Right.
it was going to end. It was for 10 years. Can you imagine?
10 years? 10 seasons?
almost.
And I've never heard about it?
Almost.
Santa Barbara.
Yeah. So, but I think it's worth to mention that last year we had filming of a really, really interesting movie.
Mm.
It's called Barry Luis.
Buddy Luis, good morning.
Yeah, director of it is Anna Arefshatian.
Uh-huh.
She filmed a movie about the 90s, about everything we were talking about during this show. About all the dark years, about how children were growing up, about their future hopes and dreams, about the generation, about the war, about people having a really difficult time but still having a hope for Buddy Luis, for a light, for a better future. It was like a hope.
Oh,
light
so
at
in
the end
that
of a
meaning,
tunnel.
Not like good morning, but like
It is
Dobry
good
sviet.
morning, but it has
Like-
another meaning.
Yeah.
Under.
like a kind
Meaning.
light.
Yeah.
That there's tomorrow will come.
With
The sun's
with
gonna
a
come
light.
up and-
exactly.
Yeah. Wow.
So it was a really touching story about this little boy who was experiencing all this time, and also telling about his love story, and it is really touching. I would recommend everybody to watch it.
To see
Whenever
Buddy
it's on.
Luis when it comes out. It
Yeah.
hasn't come out yet, right?
No,
Still in
not yet.
post-production. But Raina,
Yes.
have you ever had Jingalofrats in that cafe on Yerevan?
Oh yes, it's good.
We're not advertising,
No, we're not.
but I have had Jingalov. I have had Jingalofrats at that cafe, and I've had it more than once because it's really good. But this isn't an advertisement. What I'm talking about is their tomato juice. The tomato juice.
What is
It's
about
like the
it?
kind of spicy tomato juice that's really delicious.
Mm-hmm. Is it
comes-
homemade
Have
or
you ever
something?
noticed what the bottle? Yeah, maybe it's homemade. No, there's a company. I've read there's a company somewhere in Armenia that makes this tomato juice and somehow gets it to this cafe. I've never seen it anywhere else. And they have their own tag that they like tape or glue onto the bottle, but the bottle itself is a Miller High Life bottle. It's an
So-
American beer bottle.
Did they borrow
Can you
the
imagine?
bottle?
No, and the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, maybe they like made a mistake or like they get a bunch of different kinds of bottles. And then every time I've come back, which has been more than once, oh my gosh, not advertising. I see that it's the Miller High. They're somehow getting only Miller beer bottles from America, washing them out, and putting tomato juice in them.
Oh no, this
That's
is really
real.
funny
Yeah.
because Steven, do you know that these bottles were really a big thing back in the 90s?
Sure. Yeah.
We used to
yeah.
collect all these bottles of juice or matsun
Monsoon
yogurt or lemonade, and then take them to like tons and tons of bottles.
Yeah.
And at the end of the month, we would take them back to the store.
And they'd give you your money back.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So this is maybe what's going on with the tomato juice still.
Yeah, maybe. So, Steven, we had we had a real problem with bread. Can you imagine getting just a piece of bread daily and not having an opportunity to have more.
Bread?
Yeah. We got bread at the store with bread cards. 200 grams per day per person.
200 grams per person per day, no matter how big or small the person is.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. And we were standing for sometimes for a whole day and even longer in the huge line with people, elder people, kids, and sometimes even taking turns with family members. If can you imagine? Yeah.
Right.
To get this bread.
Oh.
And we even had like powder foods.
Oh,
like,
yeah, the powdered foods. Powdered eggs, powdered milk.
Yeah, powdered meat.
Powdered meat?
Powdered milk and everything. It was horrible.
Oh, gosh.
No.
Oh, gosh. Well,
do you have those things?
we did, but it was, for camping.
Yeah.
One thing I've learned about the 90s, talking about the 90s today, and we are coming to a close now, because it's 10:57 almost, is that the 90s in Armenia was a lot like camping in America. So
we had 3 years of camping.
No electricity, only a gas stove. You have to shower with one hand. You have lice. You have bugs crawling in your hair.
Lice. Thank you, Stephen. We were pickling all kinds of stuff for winter. All kinds of foods, tons of pickling, and there are still people who still have this habit of
pickling. It happened
pickling.
at home today. Yeah, we pickled today.
And also one more thing, I remember at school we were waiting for this moment when our teacher would come in and bring a pot with milk and the really yummy cookies. I remember I loved them.
Oh, right, the cookies from Гуманитарная помощь.
Yeah.
Those cookies.
And bringing in those things from America. They said they were sending it from America to help the hungry Armenian kids. And I loved those cookies, and actually there were kids who didn't like them, so I took those from them and ate them myself.
Ina, although this song is very, very long, we have to come to a close, and you still haven't told the joke. You had a joke you wanted to tell today.
Oh, yes. Thanks for reminding me. Okay. There is this joke about Armenian president speaking at one of the international conferences. And he was telling about Armenian people. He goes like, the people of Armenia have suffered genocide. The people of Armenia have survived earthquakes. They have survived economical difficult times. They have survived the dark and cold years. And then somebody from the crowd asks, have you tried pouring acid on them? So we are survivals. People, we survive everything.
My very politically correct side,
Okay.
my American side, the American that is sitting in Yerevan, would like to turn that joke into a phrase: whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So if you are living through any kind of difficult times right now and you're listening to us, just remember that whatever kills you, whatever doesn't kill you, I'm very sorry, will make you stronger.
Then we are a really strong nation.
And that we're a very strong nation here in Armenia. Keep listening to us. We are here every Wednesday and Friday from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. You can listen to us online at radiovan.fm.
Don't forget to call us
at 5601-0901. 560901. We'll be back on Wednesday
with Stephen Oxner
and Ina MK.